Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. Licensed lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And the Yankees last night, how about Juan Soto? 3 home runs. Yankees get back into first place. They lead the Orioles by a half game. A good win for the Yanks last night. And you look at this team right now. I mean, they're right there. I mean, yes, they've been up and down, but they're right there in the American League. They did have a terrible loss on Monday to the White Sox, but the way they're playing right now, I know the pitching's been a little inconsistent. Chisholm's injury is definitely gonna hurt, but I do think the Yankees are in a good place, and they got a huge night from Juan Soto.
Yeah, I'm after Monday. You can't lose 12-2 to the White Sox and be a contender. I just, you go 2 for 18. Wow. You go 2 for 18 against that pitching staff. That's embarrassing. They can't hit a lefty. And Verdugo leading off against a lefty. He's slugging .298 against lefties this year, and he's batting leadoff behind Soto and Judge. Like, it's just, I just have a hard time believing this team being a title contender when that's the case. So, for me, they need another pitcher. Because outside right now, I know Cortez pitched well last night, and you really needed that. But who do you really trust? I know the American League too. You can't trust the O's right now. Can you trust the Indians or the Guardians? I know their back end and Clase has been unbelievable, but maybe they win a series or two. I just can't buy. I just can't buy. No, you just losing 12-2 to the White Sox was the first time they won a game all year on Monday.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's the first time they won a game all year on a Monday. And yeah, you talk about the pitching. It has been inconsistent. I mean, even pretty much across the board. Cole, even since he came back, has been inconsistent. I know Boone made a bad decision on Saturday, taking him out of the game, but Cole's been inconsistent. Mm-hmm. You look at Luis Heel. He started off well, but he's been up and down. Rondon, he's definitely pitched better of late. And then Stroman and Stroman's been inconsistent, and Cortez, even though he pitched well last night, he's been inconsistent as well. So yeah, the pitching has definitely been inconsistent for the Yankees. That's definitely true. But the one thing about the American League is that it's not that good. It's not that good. The Guardians got cold started to get cold. We're on a losing streak last week. The Orioles have been up and down. The one team, again, after a terrible start, the one team you might have to look out for is the Astros. They've won 7 in a row.
Yeah, they're playing well. They just went in the Fenway last week and got the sweep, and started off series one with, then that now they won. Yeah, they won against the Rays last night. So yeah, Houston might be the team that you got to watch out for in the American League, which is great. Like Kukuche, I thought it was a horrible pickup. He's had 3 really good starts for him. So so the Astros figured some things out. I know they're still trying to get healthy, but the Americans had great, so maybe the Yankees could find a way. But I just don't trust the pitch. I know Rendon's been really good, but I don't feel great about him if he's our number 2 going into a postseason series. I just don't. I know they always blew their shot. They go get Trevor Rogers, Like, and he's been awful. He's 2-11. ERA's over 5. Like, they should have got a Flaherty. Kimbrel's not great at the back end. So, yeah, it's wide open. But I really just don't think this Yankee team's gonna make it out of it. So, out of the American League.
I mean, the thing is, yeah, the American League's not that good. There's no Phillies, there's no, but the American League. The thing is, the American League's not that good. There's no Phillies, there's no Dodgers. So I do think they have a chance, but there are just holes. There are holes, and even now with Chisholm out, that's because that lineup was hitting. They were hitting the ball really well when Chisholm was in it. Now with Chisholm out, you've seen the last couple nights, 2 runs against the White Sox on Monday night. Then last night they pretty much Soto pretty much saved him. So yeah, the lineup that is not as good without Chisholm. The rotation has been up and down as we've seen all year, and the bullpen. Even though Clay Holmes got the save, do you trust him to be the closer? Do you trust? I know he's been better of late, but do you trust him to be the closer?
I don't right now. I just don't. He's on a strikeout guy, and again, 45 pitches on Sunday. He really has not been good it's been what now, close to 2 months. He really has not been great. And I think that's a large enough sample size where I don't trust them. Like, again, they're up 8-1. I got home,
I was out in the game 8-7
at home. Yeah. Like I figured it was gonna be. I ended up seeing the end of the game, and I thought, there's a good chance they're gonna lose. Up 8-1. You figured they got that game wrapped up. So yeah, I don't trust them right now. I really don't.
I think what's really going to they got a huge series next week, and I think that's what's going to set the tone. If they could beat the Indians, the Guardians in a big series, they could take 2 out of 3. I think they're in good shape because that would probably put them in position to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs in the American League. But if they lose that series, they definitely could be in trouble because they might end up being behind the Orioles because it is a race right now for them with the Orioles and the Guardians. The Guardians for the best record in the AL and the Orioles for the division.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't be shocked if they beat up on Cleveland because they always beat up. Well, they didn't take care of business Monday, but they're 18-3 against the AL Central this year, I believe. Or something like they've been really they usually beat up on the Twins. They took 3 out of 4 against the Royals early on. I think they swept Detroit earlier in the year, so and the White Sox as well. And hopefully they get series win tonight. So yeah, I expect them to win 2 out of 3 in Cleveland because that's what they do. They usually beat up on this division. So, but it is one of the things, like, if they don't get out to an early lead and you got to face Clauset, who has literally, he should be second. I know a reliever closers never won the Cy Young, but that guy should get some votes for how good he's been. Like, you're probably not coming back against them in the 8th, 9th inning with their bullpen. So, you better jump on them early, I guess, next week. But yeah, they should take 2 out of 3, and it is definitely a big series next week with Cleveland coming to the Bronx.
Oh yeah, and you made a good point about Class A. He definitely should be. Yeah, he definitely should be one of the top. He should definitely be in consideration for how good he has been this year. So yeah, it's gonna be a huge series next week against Cleveland. I mean, the schedule's actually relatively easy for him though. Because they got outside of that, because they had the Rockies after that, and then they go to Washington, and they got Detroit this weekend. So the schedule is relatively easy for them. But yeah, I mean, they got to take advantage next week. That Cleveland series is going to be huge. It's going to be crucial, really, really crucial for the Yankees. Those 3 games, because they took 2 out of 3 against them in April. So those 3 games against the Guardians are going to be really, really crucial for the Yankees. But moving on to this weekend and then facing the Tigers, they play on Friday night. They got Rondon going. Tigers don't have a starter. You got Cole against Montero on Saturday, and you got Stroman against Skubal in Williamsport on Sunday. I expect them to take. I expect them to take 2 out of 3 here. I definitely expect them to take 2 out of 3. Riley Green is out for the Tigers. I know Skubal's pitching in one of the games. They might lose the Sunday night game, but I expect them to take 2 out of 3 here.
Yeah, if you want that 1 seed, you better take 2 out of 3 this weekend. Skubal's gonna be tough because he might win the Triple Crown pitching wise. 14 wins already. I think he leads the league in strikeouts, and the RA, isn't he's got to be a CRA as well. So yeah, Sunday might be tough to get him, but yeah, Friday and Saturday you got to be able to get to Montero and whoever the Tigers throw Friday night there. So yeah, it's a team that I know the Tigers offense exploded last night. They rocked George Kirby. They got 11 runs off of him early on, but yeah, the Tigers team that expected to beat, again, they usually beat up on the Central. So yeah, expect them to take 2 out of 3 from the Detroit Tigers, and yeah, hopefully continue that being right there for in the chase for the 1 seed in the American League.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the big thing. They just because they've been up and down, but they've outside of the Angels series, they've won series. I mean, and the problem is they've had a couple double headers there because of the terrible weather. Luckily, I wasn't in the Northeast last week, but but the weather was absolutely brutal in the Northeast last week. So double headers there, so that could have hurt them a little bit, especially in that Angels series because they lost one of those two games because of it. But and Warren had a pitch in one of those games as well. So yeah. So I mean, listen. I like where I know they've been kind of up and down over the last couple months, but I do like where they're at right now. In first place, in good position. Yes, there's holes. I get it, but this team definitely still has potential to make a World Series run.
Yeah, I guess you're going to be the positive one because I'm kind of out, especially lose Jazz. Especially Jazz is out.
Chisholm is definitely going to be a loss. Chisholm is definitely going to be a loss because I said earlier this lineup was really hitting when Chisholm came, and now you got to probably play both LeMahieu and Rice because Chisholm Chisholm can play everywhere. He can play second base. He can play third base.
Yeah.
He can play the outfield. Now you got to replace him with someone like Ben Rice who's been struggling.
Yeah, and Peraza is going to take his spot. I know he's been getting hot at AAA. So, but again, will he get the consistent at bats? I don't know. So, we'll see. Peraza, he'll get another shot here. Maybe he could fill in there over at third and provide a spark because he's another guy too that could steal some base if he gets on. But yeah, Jazz, and if he's with the torn UCL, I'd rather Chisholm get Tommy John surgery tomorrow because more than likely he come back spring training and be okay and be ready for next year. Instead of delaying this thing and hopefully try to get him healthy, I'd rather just have him get surgery now, be out for the remainder of the year, and he's ready to go for next year.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just my
we'll see. Opinion. We'll see what happens with Jazz. But it's a shame because he was playing so well. Look at how he started the year. Look at how he started. He was playing so well, and now unfortunately, he got hurt on Monday night.
Yeah, I think he was batting around 350 since coming over the Yankees. Wow. Like he's been on fire. And that guy, the energy guy can steal some bases. He's an exciting player, and that road trip in Philly and Boston, he had some big home runs in that series. So yeah, he's been everything the Yankees could have asked for. So it's just another trade line acquisition that has had injuries. Montas, I'm like Lou Trevino a couple years ago, Harrison Bader, Scott Efros, it just the list just goes on and on. So they just some of it's luck, some of it's been guys that been hurt, and I know Jazz been a guy that's had a history of being injured. So it's tough too because he was sliding he's running the base and he's torn it. So I don't remember ever hearing that before. So it's a tough one to swallow, but yeah, he's been everything the Yankees could have asked for and more.
Absolutely. Yeah, Chisholm has been really, really good. And I still think this Yankees team is in good shape, but we definitely talk about them next week as they have their big series against the Guardians. But we'll shift over to the Red Sox. And the Red Sox also been a little bit up and down, but they've had some big series wins. They had that big series win against Kansas City. They had that big series win against they won a series against Texas. They're going to win another series against Texas. Texas is they're the defending champs, but they're out of it. But this weekend they get swept to the red hot Houston Astros. I think the biggest takeaway there, I like the offense. I think the offense is fine. The problem, though, is that starting pitching and that bullpen is very, very questionable. I mean, I think this team is still could be a fringe playoff. This team definitely could be a fringe playoff team. Their wins against the Royals are going to help, but the starting pitching still very shaky. Bullpen still very shaky.
Yeah, it is. They need Houck hasn't been great his last couple of starts. I know Houston, he was better there. He only gave up one earned run, but yeah, they need a big start out of him tonight to get the sweep before a very tough 7-game road trip at Baltimore 4, and then you got 3 more with the Astros. So I know Baltimore's not playing great right now, but that's still that'll be a big one there for them this next week, and then you got a red hot Arizona team coming back when you come back from that road trip. So it'll be difficult, but it's just the bullpen, and I know they're like Liam Hendricks are hoping is going to get back soon. Losing Paxton hurts. There's not a guarantee that
because that's the guy they got at the trade deadline.
Yeah. So that's a tough one to swallow. Justin Slayton, I think they're hoping to be back soon. So there's some guys that I think they're hoping reinforcements that could help in the bullpen. But yeah, they probably should have done a little bit more to get another guy or two. But yeah, because they've won so many games since the All-Star break. I don't know how many times I had, but the offense has been good. That hasn't been the problem. It's just been the pitching and the bullpen has been, that which really hurt this team. And they're still staying afloat. And it was big to get two out of the first two here at Texas and hope you sweep them. But yeah, the next week is gonna be huge for them.
Oh yeah, huge. I mean, now as you see, they got 4 games with Baltimore, they got 3 with Houston, and then 3 with Arizona. So that's a tough 10-game stretch. If they can just go 5-5 and tread water a little bit, I think they'll be fine. They'll be in this race. What they got to avoid is like losing 3 out of 4. What they got to avoid is like going like 2-8, like getting swept again to the Astros, losing like two out of 3 to the Diamondbacks. Because there's a good chance they lose 3 out of 4 in Baltimore. So what they really got to avoid, and Burns is pitching one of those games. But so what they got to avoid is they got to avoid like losing 8 out of 10. That's what they got to avoid. They got to like take at least a game in that Houston series in Houston. They got to take at least a game in that area, or even 2. Win 2 out of 3 against Arizona. You're at home, so take 2 out of 3 there, and maybe split in Baltimore. So that would be 5-5. If they can go 5-5, I think this team. If they can go 5-5, I think this team is going to be in really good shape going into September. I mean, yeah, they'll be in it, because if they go on a streak that they start losing games like they did last year, there's a good chance they could be 3-4 games out at the beginning of September.
Yeah, absolutely. They could be, and Mariners, who are a game back of them, just started last night a 9-game road trip. Did not start out pretty for them. I know that.
It definitely did not start out pretty. Yeah.
No, it did not. I know right now it's Detroit and Pittsburgh, 2 teams that are not playing great. But then you end with the Dodgers, who I know they've been struggling, but it is still the Dodgers. So it's a chance there for them to, they can kind of steal a couple this week in Baltimore, get 1 or 2 in Houston. It definitely helps you put a little bit, maybe you get up another game or 2 on Seattle, which will definitely help. And they did win the series, I believe. I think they took out 4 out of 6, I believe. So they got that tiebreaker too. So they've been taking care of the teams besides Houston. They've taken care of the teams around them in the wild card, which is definitely going to help them if it does come down to tiebreaker.
Yeah, definitely. And then you saw it last week with Kansas City. You saw it before the All-Star break with Kansas City, taking 2 out of 3. Really, really crucial for them, because right now they're a game behind Kansas City in the standing. But speaking about the series in Baltimore this weekend, you got game 1. You got game 1 there in Baltimore this weekend. You got Pivetta against Eflin. They don't even have a starter for Saturday when Corbin Burns pitches. Then you got Bello against Suarez. Friday when Burns pitches. Then you got Bello against Suarez, and you got Crawford against Rogers. So I think Baltimore wins 3 out of 4. I just think they're clearly a better team than the Red Sox. I think the pitching just hasn't been. Guys like, I know Crawford pitched pretty well last night, but he struggled. Guys like Houck has struggled since the All-Star break. I just don't think the pitching's there, and you're facing a good lineup like the Orioles. So I think they lose 3 out of 4. I think they lose 3 out of 4, and they're going to have to pick up the slack in Houston and then against Arizona next week.
I'll say they take. I think I say they split this week in Baltimore. I think they win Sunday against Trevor Rogers, has been bad, and I think one of the other 3 games they get a Greg Kimbrell blown save, and they do take advantage of that, and they find a way to win another game this series. So I do think they get out of there 2-2, which I think you would absolutely take. And then hopefully you go to Houston and you can maybe hopefully win. I think 2 they feel great about, and it'd be be pretty good road trip down there. But I think they take 2 out of 4. I think they'll get to kick Kimbrell one of the 4 games there in a save opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about the Orioles is Kimbrell has really, really struggled for them. That's been the thing. He's really struggled so far for them. So I think they could very easily split with them, but I just don't know. I know they played well this week. I know they've won 2 with Texas. They had that walk-off on Monday night. I just think that the Orioles are just too tough. I know the Orioles haven't played great, but I think the Orioles are too tough. That's why I think the Orioles take 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I could totally see it. Baltimore at home. But the way Boston's been playing, outside of this weekend against Houston, they've done pretty good against when they've, I know the Dodgers 2 series didn't go pretty, but for the most part against the top tier kind of competition, they've handled themselves pretty well. So I do think, they find a way to get out of there with the offense. I think Devers, that line has been really good. And, a Baltimore pitching staff, which isn't great and isn't deep because they got their injuries and bullpen issues of their own. I do think they could slug their way to another win in that series.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, because the offense has hit well. They've hit well.
Yeah.
Connor Wong, got Devers. They've really hit well. The problem with them has been, like it's been for a while, starting pitching, which was good early in the year, but has tailed off a little bit late, and the bullpen. So we'll see what happens with the Red Sox. Big. The next 10 games are big for this team. The next 10 games are pretty crucial for this team. At Baltimore, at Houston, and then Arizona. So they got 10. They got after tonight they got 10. They got 10 really tough games coming up. But we have a couple of guys that could be traded soon in the NFL. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial. Friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
So we got Ayuk close to probably be close to, so we'll see what happens. We're going to see what's going to happen with Ayuk. He either resigns the Niners or is close to getting traded. And we got Hassan Reddick who's requested to trade away from the Jets. But before we get to that, we got to get to the biggest news yesterday, and that was JJ McCarthy. He is going to be out for the Vikings. He's hurt with a knee injury. He's going to be out for them. And the big question now is we don't know how long he's out for. The big question now for the Vikings is can Sam Darnold lead this team to the playoffs? Now, here's the thing about Sam Darnold. Yes, he's had a tough career so far, but this is the best system he's played in and probably the best talent he's had around him. He's got one of the best receivers in Justin Jefferson. He's got Jordan Addison. He's got a top tackle in Christian Darrisaw. So he's got the weapons on offense. He's in a pretty good system with Kevin O'Connell. But the issue with Darnold is the turnovers. That's why I don't trust him to lead this Vikings team to the playoffs. I still think he's a below-average quarterback. Maybe he'll put up better numbers with the Vikings, but I think when it's all said and done, and the Vikings are in a tough division, I don't think Sam Darnold leads them to the playoffs. I don't think he does. We don't know how long J.J. McCarthy's going to be out. You feel bad for him because of the way he played against the Raiders. He played pretty well against the Raiders in the preseason, but I think that I think that I don't think that Sam Darnold is gonna be able to lead this team to the playoffs. I don't. Now a lot of people would disagree with me. They think this is the best system he's been in, and I've been a Sam Darnold guy. I wanted the Giants to take him in 2018 when they were the number 2 overall pick, but I just don't think he leads them to the playoffs. I don't think he does. I think he just turns the ball over too much, and I think it's going to be a year where the Vikings miss out on the postseason.
Yeah, I think with Darnold and the Vikings, I think it's possible, but it is a tough division. We got the Lions, you got the Packers. I know there's a lot of hype around the Bears, and we'll see how Caleb does, and he looked pretty good, in his preseason, week 1 in the preseason. So, they got the weapons. Yes, they couldn't really run the ball last year, and you hope Aaron Jones could kind of help, improve that running game, which maybe helps Sam Darnold out. But yeah, I thought last year, when he went to San Francisco, Darnold did. I thought, maybe Kyle Shanahan could kind of work his magic and, improve him. I didn't really see that. I know he didn't get a ton of time, obviously, with Purdy, but maybe O'Connell can. O'Connell's been pretty good as, a head coach and so far. Maybe he could, but I just, yeah, I have a hard time really trusting him. And, Florida's that defense, maybe they're competitive, but I see this team being like 7, 8 wins. And obviously that's not going to be enough to get them a wild card spot.
Yeah, I see this being another 7-win season for them. It's just another 7-win year, and it kind of sucks for them because we don't know yet. We don't know how long McCarthy's going to be out, but it's going to suck for them because McCarthy's not going to get any reps this year. And pretty much, say Sam Darnold has a mediocre season or a bad year, and McCarthy doesn't play. You're pretty much going into next year, pretty much with JJ McCarthy going into his rookie year. So you thought maybe, okay, Darnold will start out a little bit, then the team starts losing games, then McCarthy goes in, you get some reps, maybe you miss the playoffs, but then you have JJ McCarthy has experience going into the next year. There's a chance that JJ McCarthy's not going to get any experience, and it hurts Kevin O'Connell because he potentially could have 3 losing seasons in a row now. He had a losing season last year when Cousins got hurt. He could have a losing season this year without J.J. McCarthy, and then he could have a losing season again. And it's very, very difficult in the NFL to survive 3 straight losing seasons.
Yeah, it is. You only get kind of one opportunity there with the quarterback, and if it doesn't go well, and 3 straight losing seasons, there's going to be a lot of questions out there, and it's going to be tough for him to survive. So it puts him in a tough situation. I know there's no guarantee he's going to play, but I think they're still waiting on the severity of how bad the torn meniscus is, or if it's a partial or fully. So maybe he can get back late November, early December, maybe optimistically, but and then maybe he gets a couple games there towards the end with, and he kind of play a couple games towards the end. But it does kind of hurt his development. He looked pretty good. He was a guy kind of didn't know how quickly he get in there when they first kind of drafted, the big kind of question, but he looked pretty good, all things considered, last week against the Raiders. So it's tough, and it is definitely a tough spot for kind of this year doesn't go well, because Mullins didn't play horrible, but like his thing too was the turnovers, so that's the thing, if they could, Mullins could play turnover-free football, maybe they could find a way to get the 9 wins, and if Flores could really turn that defense around, and they got one of the better defenses in the league, maybe they steal some wins that way, but. I think it's gonna be tough for this team now to find themselves, 9 wins, because it's gonna be tough in that division too. To there's no easy 2 wins in that division that you're gonna be picking off either.
No, not at all. Seeing the way the Bears looked in preseason, the way Caleb Williams looked in preseason, and we'll get to him. But and then you got the Packers and the Lions, who I think could be 2 of the top 3 teams in the NFC. So it's a tough division. It sucks for the Vikings, and it sucks for JJ McCarthy. But the reality is Sam Darnold is going to have to be the guy, and this is his last shot. This is Sam Darnold's last shot. It failed with the Jets, didn't work out with the Panthers. Last year was a backup in San Francisco. This is the last shot for Sam Darnold. Like we said for Baker Mayfield, but Mayfield took advantage of it. This is the last shot for Sam Darnold.
That's a great point, because nobody really, and Baker got paid, and Dave Canales did a great job, and I think that's why big reason why the Panthers brought him, and hopefully that. He can get Bryce Young going this year, and the former number 1 overall pick. So for Darnold, it's gonna be his last shot here in the league, and if he can take advantage, great. Maybe he gets paid, gets a nice raise, and somebody gives him a starting job. But this is gonna be it for him. So it's a huge opportunity for Sam Darnold, and hope he takes advantage of it. But he can't be much worse than he was with the Jets, because that was, and again, some of that wasn't all on him. It was the coaching, just been a mess. In the past, and to help him. But yeah, this is it. And if he can kind of have a Baker Mayfield type year and can get them in the playoffs, something that we pay for him and be great for him. But he's got a lot of proof.
Yeah, if he has a really good year, if he can lead the team to the playoffs, he'll get a contract somewhere else. Some other team will probably see, because he won't get a contract with the Vikings. He won't be back with the Vikings because they've been committed to JJ McCarthy. They took him they traded up to take him with the number 10 overall pick. But yeah, I mean, if he has a really big year, he definitely could re-sign somewhere else. But we'll see what happens there. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Vikings. We all know he'll be on the field. He'll be back at MetLife Stadium in Week 1 against the Giants. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. But now talking about another team that plays at MetLife. So now Darnold, he's playing at MetLife Stadium. He'll start his season at MetLife Stadium. But now talking about the other team that plays at MetLife Stadium, and that's the Jets. And Hassan Reddick, this has just been a mess. They end up trading for Hassan Reddick. He's been holding out. Now he wants a trade out of there. My thing, though, with him is I think he's eventually going to end up playing for the Jets because the Jets have all the leverage. They're not going to trade him. I don't think you see what happens when guys sit out an entire season. You saw it with Le'Veon Bell. You're not the same guy. I think eventually either the Jets will pay him or he'll just end up playing on his contract, on the current contract he has. So I don't think this is I think eventually he's going to play. I think he will play a snap for the Jets. I know they think he's going to be traded, but I think he will play a snap for the Jets.
I'm like 50-50 on it, if he will or not. But for the Jets, when they traded for this guy, did they ask if he was going to be happy with this current deal? Like, what if he?
That's the thing. They just legit trade instead of maybe exploring edge rusher in the draft. Yeah. No. We'll just trade for a guy who we don't even know is going to be happy with his new deal. That's why the Eagles traded him, because he wasn't happy with his new deal. It's such a Jets move.
Yeah, it was. And it's a guy, too, they need another pass rusher, but their defense is so good anyways. It's like, you could have gone out and got somebody in the draft and been okay. You wouldn't have to worry about, this situation happening where, the Hassan Reddick's not even going to play, or possibly might not even play. He's going to hold out like this. So, again, if they figure out this situation, if the Jets pay him, again, they're going to have maybe the best defense in all the league. And their defense would be really, really good. They won 7 games last year, that defense, with horrendous quarterback play. But yeah, it just seemed this was just the biggest Jets move of all time, was just not doing their due diligence beforehand. But yeah, so I'm like 50-50 on it. But look, if he doesn't, they're going to need a guy like Will McDonald probably to kind of step up and help out and get the production that you would get from Hassan Reddick. But they do get him. That makes that Jet defense even a little bit more scarier.
It does, but it just shows you that Joe Douglas, if this team doesn't have a winning season, he's going to be fired. Him and Robert Saleh. This thing blows. I'll say they even missed the playoffs at 9-8. He's going to be fired. Joe Douglas is going to be fired because really outside of the 2022 draft, which was great, he did a great job in the 2022 draft. He's not done a really good job at all. He has not solved the quarterback position. He's got this situation with Hassan Reddick. This is now a mess. It's just so typical Jets that this is happening right now. Now I think he's going to eventually end up playing for him, but just another distraction for this franchise going into a season where they need to be successful. They need to get to the playoffs, and I'd say at least win a game. I think they got to get to the playoffs, but I think for it to be a successful season with Rodgers, they got to get to the playoffs, and I think at least win a game for it to be a successful season.
Yeah, absolutely. There's from Jets fan, it feels like it's like Super Bowl or bust, because this kind of feels like it's going to be it for Rodgers. I know he's going to be because he's going to be a free agent after the year, but he's 41. He's going to be 42, I believe, in December, I think. He'll be 40, or he'll be 41 in December. So, he's coming off a torn ACL, or a torn Achilles. So what do it's, and he wasn't great that second half of the year with Green Bay. He was good, but he was not Darren Rodgers of old, of what we're used to seeing. So, now he's at 41. He's got Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall, good running back. Braylon Allen looked good as well the other day. But yeah, it really feels like the Jets, like, it's, for the organization wise, they got to make the playoffs and win a game or two. But I think for the fans, like, they're like, we gotta win the Super Bowl this year because this is our kind of one shot here with Aaron Rodgers.
But that's unrealistic to make it super.
Yeah.
I know they was their one shot with Rodgers, but that's unrealistic. Now, they got Aaron Rodgers to make a deep playoff run and win the Super Bowl. But it's kind of unrealistic to say Super Bowl or bust. But realistically for this Jet team, I don't like Saleh. I think Douglas is a very average general manager. I think this team's not making the playoffs. Just with the distraction with Reddick, I could really see this team not making the playoffs. Even though they have Aaron Rodgers and a really good defense and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, I could really see this and an improved O-line. I could see this team not making the playoffs just because of the poor coaching and the distraction that Reddick has caused this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see it as well. It's a team I'm having a hard time kind of figuring out where I want to place them in the AFC and in the division because it's a team where it's like they won 7 games last year with horrible quarterback play. Now you get Rodgers, but
they've done that the last 2 years. But I think the coach, the coach is trash. I think the coach is trash. I think the coach is garbage. I think he's one of the worst coaches in the league. That's why I think the team's going to miss the playoffs. I think you saw the lack of discipline at times last year with the team. I know they won 7 games without any quarterback play, but you saw the lack. And you look at some of their wins, some of those 7 wins. I mean, one was a game that I'm sorry, the Giants handed to them. One of them is against the Patriots at the end of the year. One was against Washington. I know I'll give them credit for the Houston win. That was a pretty good win. One was against Denver. I'll give them credit for the Eagle win. I'll give them that. The Bills win was good, but some of those wins were very, very were a little questionable too last year. So I know they went 7-10, but I don't see him making the playoffs. I don't see him with this head coach making the playoffs.
Yeah, I could totally see it, and it helps that they're going to have a little bit. They got a 3rd place schedule, which does help them out. For competition play, but they tough one to go out there on a Monday night, play San Francisco, and then you got to go on the road again on a short week to Tennessee. So, and then you got another short week with New England coming to town, which obviously should be a win, but so yeah, like it's then you got Denver home, so like they could be 3-1 to open the year. We'll see, but yeah, I'm not a big Robert Saleh believer either. I did like Joe Douglas to start out, but as you mentioned, the drafting has taken a step back. We'll see what he does with this draft class, but yeah, it's a team where I feel like they could have 8 wins, and I wouldn't be shocked. Or 7-8 wins, and I wouldn't be shocked if they have 10. So, the team that a couple of different options, I would not be surprised. But it's a Jet team. They definitely got to make the playoffs for Douglas and Saleh to save their jobs.
Yep, absolutely. So now going from one player that wants a trade to one player that could be traded, and that's Brandon Ayuk. And this saga's been going on for a while with Ayuk. Last week, I was listening to the radio. I was listening to 95.7 The Game, heading to Niners training camp, and the big thing was they had a deal. Them and the Steelers pretty much had a deal done. We all know they had a deal. Him and the Patriots pretty much had a deal done, and he refused to go there. Because of your quarterback situation. So it's tough. It's tough for here because the money has to work out for Ayuk. And the team has to work out for Ayuk for him to accept a trade. So it's hard for the Browns, for the Patriots, for the Steelers to trade for Ayuk. It's hard because all those 2 things have to line up for Ayuk to get traded. So right now he is still a Niner, but I just think eventually he's going to get traded to the Steelers. I think he's going to get traded to the Steelers. I think they're going to trade. They're going to give him it's going to be a couple picks and George Pickens in the deal. So I think eventually he's going to be a Steeler because I think this saga is going to end because I just don't think the Niners are going to pay him what he wants. The Niners are strict. They probably don't want to go over a certain number because eventually they're going to have to pay guys like they're going to have to extend Trent Williams, who's also holding out, and they're going to have to pay Brock Purdy. They're going to have to give Brock Purdy over $50 million, and they're going to have to probably give Trent Williams over $30 million. So there's other priorities on this team. Ayuk is good, but to me, he's not. He's a guy that is expendable. So I do think he ends up with the Steelers, and I do think the Niners get George Pickens back.
Yeah, I do think he's going to end up Pittsburgh. I think that's. I don't know if you saw the press conference. Was it Thursday with Mike Tomlin? He had when they asked him, he had a grin on his face, like he already knew. Like he kind of. I think so. I think he feels good that it's going to happen at some point. You hope sooner rather than later. But yeah, because the Niners just have so much, money that they have to give up elsewhere, and you're going to have to make the thing, you're going to have to make changes somewhere. And, they're probably going to, hopefully, if they get George Pickens back, and then, hopefully like a Ricky Pearsall can, the rookie out of Florida could step up in his place and, give him some production. But I'll be honest, I wasn't too disappointed the Patriots get him because I think the Patriots offered him 32, which I thought was a little bit too much for him. And what is he going to do for us this year? Give us one extra win? Like I didn't think he was really helpful this year. So I was okay with him not, wanting to come here right now.
I could see both ways though, because he would be your guy he'd be that number one you need going forward. And you kind of have to overpay. Like you're going to have to overpay for T. Higgins next year. If you want T. Higgins, you're going to have to overpay for him because you're a bad team. You're a bad team. So bad teams have to overpay to get guys to come play for them. So yeah, they were going to have to. The Patriots had to overpay, or I think they had to overpay. Yeah, it's good and it's bad. It's good because you're paying all that money to somebody that'll probably get you one extra win. But it's bad because you really don't have that number one receiver, which you're going to have to find in the draft next year or overpay for T. Higgins.
Yeah, which I rather overpay for T. Higgins than I would Brandon Ayuk because I think T. Higgins is a better receiver than he is. And we probably have to give us some draft assets. And I'd rather keep those assets for all this year because you probably have to go a second or third rounder for Ayuk, and I'd rather keep that. I'd rather have that. So, and again, like, I think it would have even caused a bigger rift in the locker room because if you just paid Ayuk, but you don't pay your best player, Matthew Judon, money that he wants, that's just going to cause a bigger rift. So
that's another thing. And the thing is, I still think you need Judon going forward, especially with the defensive head coach. You need Judon going forward, and that's another issue for the Patriots right now with Matthew Judon.
Yeah, and he's the leader in that team. Like a lot of the defensive guys really kind of shadow him, go to him for advice. So like he's kind of the big guy on that defensive side of the ball. So now that Barmore is going to be out, hopefully he's back at some point soon. But blood clots are you never know when. So yeah, like even the Judon thing now too. So he's a leader in that team, and I think if they got Ayuk, it would have been great. But it also would have been, why aren't we paying our best player? Because everybody else on this horrible team from last year got paid.
I know, which is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. They pay everyone else, but they haven't paid Matthew Judon yet. So that is crazy. But we will get to the Patriots in their preseason win. But before we do that, we're going to do our recap of the first week of the preseason. We'll give our 5 takeaways. I'll start with mine. And number 5, I'm going to start with your Patriots. I like the way Joe Milton looked. And for me, I know it was against the third string Panther defense, but I like the way Joe Milton looked. And the thing is, hey, if he's playing better than Drake May, I don't know if you really can justify the number 3 overall. If you're a GM, you can't justify San Francisco. They didn't justify the number 3 overall pick. They admitted they overdrafted Trey Lance, traded him, and look at what's happened with Brock Purdy. So you're kind of in that same situation. If Joe Milton's out playing Drake May, I know you took Joe Milton in the 6th round. I know you took Drake May number 3 overall, but I still think you got to go with Joe Milton. I really like what I saw to Joe Milton in his first week with the Patriots. Number 4, I think Jaden Daniels looking really good. Jaden Daniels, he was good on that one drive against the Jets. I really like what I saw to Jaden Daniels. Dan Quinn said he's far ahead of what they expect him to be. He's ahead of what they expect him to be. So I like the way Jaden Daniels looked. Number 3, Bo Nix. I think Sean Payton, they're going to struggle this year. They're going to struggle. Nix is going to struggle, but he should definitely be, from what I saw on Sunday, he should definitely be quarterback number 1. He's got to be quarterback number 1 for them. I mean, he definitely should be beating out Jarrett Stidham, who threw a pick. He definitely should beat out. He's already beaten out Zach Wilson. I think he should definitely be quarterback 1. I know that team's going to take their licks this year. I know they're probably going to be a 4 or 5 win team at best, but it looks like Sean Payton might have his guy for the future there. Number 2, Caleb Williams. He really impressed me. Against the Bills. Played really well against their first team defense of the Bills. The Bills on 2 scoring drives. So Caleb Williams, he was really, really impressive for me there. And number 1, it looked like the Bears made the right call. Drafting Caleb Williams and trading Justin Fields, because Justin Fields really, really struggled in his preseason debut. 2 fumbles. Right now, I think he should be quarterback number 2, and Russell Wilson should be winning that job in Pittsburgh. Justin, your 5 takeaways.
My 5, I'll start with the same one you had in number 5. Well, kind of different. Gerard Mayo loves stirring the controversy pot because, I get with Joe Milton. He looked really good in the second and third quarter, or in his drives there against Carolina. But it was against second and third teamers from Carolina, and then you played a ton of Bailey Zappi for what reason I have no idea because it did not seem like he was taking many practice reps. So
I know that was weird. That was really weird.
Yeah, I don't understand because especially for May too, it's like it's a rainy night in New England. Get them that experience to play in the rain in the elements because they're gonna deal with that a lot. But give them some confidence going out against a horrible Carolina team. So as I mentioned you before the show, there's a lot of calls Friday in Boston radio of Joe Milton needs to be the guy, and I've seen the Joe Milton experience at Tennessee. Let's see if he consistently do it. I think you said before the show, let's see how he does against the Eagles Thursday night. But if he tears up the Eagles first teamers, all right, maybe we have something. But look at Dorian Thompson-Robinson last year. He was outstanding in the Browns preseason.
And then you saw that game against the Ravens where he was absolutely terrible.
Yeah. So that's why I'm let's see a little bit more from him. Number 4, Casey might have done it again, find another undrafted offensive piece in Carson Steele. He's not the fastest guy in the world. Was at Ball State for a couple years and then goes to UCLA. Hardworking guy, physical back, and again out of the backfield, he had a really nice performance at Jacksonville. Just another offensive weapon Kansas City might be able to use. Number 3, I had the Eagles secondary. I thought they looked pretty promising. Mitchell, the first cornerback they took in this year's draft. I thought he had a really nice one. He had a near interception. Ringo didn't play a lot last year as a rookie, but was a 4th rounder a year ago. I thought he looked pretty good as well against the Ravens. So the Eagles, the big question for them was, the secondary going in. I thought they looked pretty well. Number 2 for me is the Chargers. If Justin Herbert cannot go week 1, the Chargers need another quarterback to bring on the roster. They need a Ryan Tannehill because Easton Stick looked bad. Luis Perez, he was okay, but he was nothing special. Like the Chargers are in real trouble if Justin Herbert's going to miss some time in the regular season. Raider team, they're playing at home, but it'll be a Raiders home game there. So Ryan Tannehill signing, or you go trade a veteran for a veteran would not be a bad move. And I put my top takeaway is I put all the rookie quarterbacks kind of in the same group. You mentioned Jaden Daniels looked really good on his drive. Bo Nix played against some of the Colts first teamers for a drive or two, and I thought he looked pretty good. Caleb Williams, he had a nice third down. I think he was 3rd and 8, stepped on the pocket, scrambled, stepped on the pocket, ran for the first down, slid. So I thought even like Dre May, his one, didn't look awful. There was a drop pass, I thought overall in the couple plays he got wasn't bad. So I kind of just put them all together. I was pretty impressed with all the first round quarterbacks there. As you mentioned, McCarthy played well against the Raiders, so I put them all together. Thought they all looked pretty good. I know May didn't get a ton, but maybe outside of May, but thought for them they all looked good in their first preseason action.
Yeah, they all did. And I think that was a really big storyline. I mean, yeah, looking at Caleb Williams, because the play of him is going to determine it. Because if he plays, he doesn't need to play as well as CJ Stroud. If he just has a good rookie season, that team's got a great chance of getting one of the wild card spots. They definitely do with the weapons he has around him. Their defense has gotten better. The offensive line has been improved. I do have my questions with the head coach, and I've been seeing that on Hard Knocks a little bit. But I think Caleb Williams. I think if he has a good rookie year, that team's gonna play well. And then we talked about Bo Nix, Sean Payton finding his guy in Denver. We'll see if there's definitely a good chance that he could find his guy in Denver. And then you look at Jaden Daniels. He looked good in his debut. So yeah, most of the rookies have looked really, really good so far. They had really, really good preseason openers. But speaking of preseason openers, we're going to get to my team and the Giants, who beat the Lions 14-3 in their preseason opener. And I got a couple of takeaways. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway is the run game. The run game of Eric Gray and Tyrone Tracy. And Tyrone Tracy gave us a scare yesterday. He gave us a scare, but he should be fine. He should be fine. Malik Neighbors gave us a scare earlier too, but he looks like he's going to be ready for week 1 as well. Now, the thing I'm a little concerned about is him and Daniel Jones won't have I don't think they're going to have any preseason reps together in live action, but But I really, the one thing I really liked about the Giants, the way they ran the football, and that was a huge question mark. Letting Saquon letting Saquon walk, but I think by committee, Eric Gray, he had that touchdown. You got Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary. I think by committee, the way they looked, I'm confident that they have a chance to replace the production of Saquon Barkley. I think that was the biggest takeaway coming out of the Giants' first preseason game.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down too. Is the running game. I was really impressed. Eric Gray too caught a couple passes out of the backfield. He was a pretty good receiving back at, out of Oklahoma and Tennessee. Tennessee. He was there before going Oklahoma's final year. So yeah, Tracy too on the run game, and then Devin Singletary, who's played with Dayball too in Buffalo when you see there. So maybe he could find something and have a nice like a nice kind of three-headed kind of monster back there for kind of the running back by committee. And so I think that's going to be huge for the Giants. Where obviously you gotta get production you're going to be missing from Barkley. So I thought, the running game for me was kind of the huge takeaway there from the Giants. And, it's good, too, that Neighbors is going to be okay and Tyrone Tracy as well. So, that's big. And, but a little surprised they're not going to give, but me is, that I thought maybe Daniel Jones would get a little preseason action, but as you mentioned, it does sound like he will. I fear maybe get some rust off because, going to be, very close to a year since the last time he's been on the field. But,
I think there's a chance he could play against the Texans, though. I think I've heard there's a chance he could play against the Texans. So I do want to see Daniel Jones get some preseason action. He doesn't need to get a lot of preseason action, but I definitely want him to get preseason action from coming up because I don't want his first game to be coming off the ACL against first live action be coming off the ACL against the Raiders, and then he's got to play opening day against the Vikings. I want him to get some preseason action.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned too, trying to, just get a little chemistry going there with, Malik Neighbors would help too. And, Jalen Wyatt, who I know was on the team last year, but, because he only played a couple of weeks, Daniel Jones did to kind of build that rapport as well, a little bit more with him. So with some of these young weapons he got. So yeah, for the Giants, thought all in all wasn't bad. Another lines were not great. Then they didn't play a ton of their starters.
They didn't play any. The Lions didn't play any of their starters. Yeah. Giants, it was a mixture. You had Neighbors play. You had Bellinger play. You had Newman play. You had Deontay Banks play. So the Giants, it was a mix of ones and two. Lions didn't play anybody because they had the joint practices that week, and you saw all the fights that were going on during those joint practices.
Yeah. So both coaches probably want to be careful. And just saw this from Scheffner. JJ McCarthy's going to miss the entire year with it's torn meniscus. That needs repaired. So,
all righty. So it looks like it's going to be Sam. All right, looks
out.
like Sam Darnold's going to get a shot. So yeah, breaking news: JJ McCarthy is out for the season, and it looks like Sam Darnold he's going to get a shot. But we answered that question earlier in the show that the Vikings aren't a playoff team. So, but it's one last shot for Sam Darnold, and it's official now.
Yeah, it is. We'll see if he takes advantage, and if he has a tough couple of weeks, wouldn't be shy to see Kevin O'Connell throw Nick Mullins in there and see if he can get any more production out of him. So, yeah, Darnold's got one shot here, and we'll see if he take advantage of it.
Exactly. And now we're sticking with the quarterback, though. We were talking about Daniel Jones. But the thing that I was a little disappointed with was the play of Drew Lock. I know he got hurt, but the play of Drew Lock. I thought he could have been better. He struggled, and that concerns me a little bit. But this is the other thing. People that said, he should be the starter over Daniel Jones have no clue what they're talking about. What has Drew Lock done in his career? Daniel Jones has led a team to the playoffs. I know he's been up and Daniel Jones has been up and down, but he's led a team to the playoffs. So I think it proved you enough Thursday night that Drew Lock, especially not even targeting Malik Neighbors, that Daniel Jones is definitely the guy. But it is a concern because what happens if Daniel Jones gets hurt? I did like the way Tommy DeVito played on Thursday, but Drew Lock's hurt, but he probably is still going to be quarterback number 2, seeing what they're paying him.
Yeah, absolutely. He is, and because you lost Tyrod Taylor, who goes over the Jets, which finally for the Jets they do have a backup quarterback, and so you need Lock, and Lock was a guy kind of because I really liked enjoying him in college, and then his last year in Missouri they changed kind of from an air raid to more kind of pro style to kind of get him ready for the NFL level. And he didn't, and he had his worst year. Like the numbers weren't horrible, but like he just, he didn't look like the same guy, in Missouri. And, he's kind of just hasn't found his footing at the NFL level. So yeah, he's definitely going to be the backup. And, DeVito was a great story, of course, last year, but, you don't think you feel great about him, being your number two behind. So yeah, you'll hopefully Locke can kind of figure it out, be a little bit better as a backup. But yeah, the definitely Daniel Jones got to start over him because Drew Lock just hasn't been kind of what he first thought kind of coming into the league there, where maybe he can make some noise, be a starter, but it just hasn't happened. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it is. But we will move on to the Patriots. They won 17-3 over the Panthers. Yeah, not many starters played in that game at all, but outside of maybe Jacoby Brissett, who could just right now is in line to be the Patriots starting quarterback. But I think, as we said earlier, the big story in the game is the play of Joe Milton. I know a lot of fans want him to be the starter. I think they got to hold back on that. But if he continues to play really well and outplay Drake May, again, you can't worry about where a guy gets drafted. Look at the 49ers. You can't worry about where a guy gets drafted. I think eventually you got to play the better guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to say that I'm kind of all Drake. Like if Joe Milton goes out there Thursday night and he's awesome against the Eagles and he plays well again in their final preseason game against Washington, and he's been the best out of the four. Sure, I give him maybe you do think about giving him the starting job because you do got to play the best guy at the quarterback spot, but I just never understood the rotations that they had at the quarterback spot. It just made complete zero sense. And it just Mayo kind of early indications. This seems like this is going to be a total disaster with him as a head coach. I'm not liking the media stuff too. He was, I'm going to give you a lot more information that Bill did. I didn't like the stuff about the wanting nobody to fight. I'm gonna you're gonna start and play the whole time. He's got to learn that less is more when talking to the media. But with the quarterback thing again, Milton's the best guy at the end. Sure, you got to throw him in there and let him start. But I don't think he will at the end of the day. I would be fine with him being our backup quarterback, like starting when Brissett's gone at the end of this year, and he's the guy behind May. I'd be completely fine. I just, I don't know if I'm totally there yet. Of him being the future starter, but look, we'll see. It is possible. If he can give this team the spark and play well, great. The thing about me too is the first time May gets in there and things go bad, he's just gonna get booed and they're gonna want Joe Milton. And it's the same thing I've been worried about, since they drafted him. Is his confidence going to be shot and just not be able to recover with May? And I just very worried about that. And that door opened very wide on Thursday night because of May wanting to play Joe Milton. A lot of that game.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want the door to open. We'll see what ends up happening though. It should be interesting with what goes on with Milton and Drake May. So it's already a controversy, and we're only 1 week into the preseason. But we'll wrap up the show talking about the AP top 25 in college football. Georgia is number 1, Ohio State number 2. Yeah, Bama number 5. I think the big question is who should be number 1, Georgia or Ohio State? I think they got it right. I think Georgia should be number 1. They got the quarterback returning. They've been probably since 2017, right, one of the most successful programs, probably the most successful program in college football. You see 2017, they lost the national championship game, and then they went back-to-back, and they almost got to the playoff in 2018. They went in 2021, 2022, they won the title, and last year they were undefeated until the SEC title game. So I do think they got it right with Georgia being number 1.
Yeah, I do too. I think on paper, Ohio State got the better roster than Georgia. Like, I think Ohio State's going to have the best defense in the country. But I think the difference maker is, partially Georgia's gotten over the hump. I know last year they didn't, but and I think also because of Carson Beck too, over a guy like Will Howard, who's a good quarterback. Is he a national level, quarterback? Which I think is kind of the question there. So, and Georgia too. Kirby Smart's I know he's being Saban a couple of times, but that's been his biggest kryptonite too at times. And now obviously he's out of the game, so which helps Kirby as well. So I do think they got it right with Georgia. I do think the top 3 are exactly where they should be.
Yeah. Now speaking of Alabama, they are number 5. Are they too low or are they too high? I think they're just right. I think they're just right. But Texas did. I remember Texas did lose their running back for the season. They lost Baxter, right? They are number 4. But I do think Bama's just right without Nick Saban. I think that they're right where they should be at number 5.
Yeah, and speaking of Texas, CJ Baxter's out, and they just lost who was going to be their true freshman. The second string running back just got hurt on Monday, so he's out for the year as well. So they're already a little shorthanded at the running back spot, and I think they're going to move some guys over from wide receiver to running back to fill the hole. But back to Alabama, I do think they're just right there, number 5. It is crazy. It's their lowest ranking
It's
of
2009.
Yeah,
it's 2009, which is nuts.
Yeah,
it just shows you how much success they had with Saban.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to be a rude awakening for Alabama fans. Not to say that Caleb Willard's not going to do the job. It's just going to be a lot harder now, and we'll see how Alabama fans kind of deal with that. But Kellen DeBoer with Jalen Milroe, I think that's going to be a really great. I think that could be a really good combination because Jalen Milroe's got such a he's so much better with his deep ball accuracy than he is with the short mid ball accuracy, and he's a really good runner. So I think DeBoer and Milroe could be a really good combination at the quarterback coach position. So I think Alabama's sitting there at number 5 just right. I guess now with another running back hurt for Texas, maybe you could flip flop the 2, but I don't really have a big issue with it.
No, I don't have a big issue with Alabama being number 5 in the country. Now, lastly, who is the sleeper team that you think can make a run? I know I'm kind of not going out on a limb here. I'm going to go with Ole Miss. I know you don't trust Lane Kiffin, but they got the quarterback. They got Jackson Dart coming back. They got one of the receivers coming back. I think Ole Miss is that team, that sleeper team that can make a run to win a national title this year.
Does it have to be a top 10 team? Because I do like somebody outside of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. You could definitely be outside of it. Absolutely.
I get Utah. I got number 12 Utah.
Wow. With Cam Rising, that's a good one. Cam Rising,
yep.
They're going to have a really good record. They very easily could have a home game in the first round.
Yep. They get a bye if they win the Big 12.
Oh, wow. They get the bye. And then even a home game in the quarters. So they might not even play a road game throughout it's not even a road. So it'll be a neutral site. So that's a really good one. And Kyle Willingham is a really, really good coach.
Yep. Yeah. So that's why. And again, maybe you get the 5 seed Notre Dame right there, and I think they could beat Notre Dame, and you're already in the semi. So I think Utah. I think they got 21 starters back on that roster with Cam Rising come back. They had so many injuries last year too. So the thing is, a lot of the guys that stepped up last year and played all stuck around to the backups now. So now your second stringers have a lot of experience, which is for this 12-team playoff, which is going to be huge. Where really Georgia. Ohio State has the 2 deep. Like you really need 2 deep in the depth charts, and Utah's going to have that. Where, really Georgia. We're really the only Georgias that are going to have it. The Ohio State, Alabama's have it. So I think for Utah, they got a really good shot there at number 12. They can win the Big 12. They could find their way and make a run.
Yeah, I think they definitely could. Yeah, because the Big 12 is not. Is not.
It's going to be wild, huh?
But there really isn't a dominant. There really isn't a dominant team in the Big 12. That's the thing. I mean, Utah is probably they're definitely the favorite. And then what's the next ranked team? Oklahoma State. And obviously they got Deion now in that conference. But and that team, I think honestly, Colorado is gonna be better than people think with Shedeur Sanders. They got the quarterback, but I know the offensive line, defense and depth is a problem. And Deion is just drawing too much attention.
Not helping himself.
Not helping himself at all. But I like that pick. I really like that pick in Utah.
Yeah, I think they'll be good. But the Big 12 is going to be a fun conference to watch, and you're on this one too. Yeah, Lane. I think he's built a line. I really do think he's building off in the defensive line this offseason. So I don't believe in him, but I do think it's to be his best chance. So a lot of excitement down there at in Oxford. So I wouldn't be shocked if Ole Miss could pull it off and make a run. And they get a home game with that scene that they got down there. That. Not too many teams are going to go down there and beat them in Ole Miss. So, the Ole Miss too, down to number 6, they got a really good shot.
Yeah, they definitely do. All right, that's going to wrap it up for sport this week on Sport Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about the Yankees' big series with the Guardians, giving our takeaways from week 2 of the preseason and talking about the Giants and Pats in week 2 of the preseason. Talking about the first college football game of the year between Georgia Tech and Florida State. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Meek, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.